YouTube, what is going on? My name is Ryan. If you're new here, I own a clothing brand called NewBara. NewBara stands for breaking new barricades, getting over challenges, difficulties, obstacles, and goals. So if you want to be a part of that community, go to newbara.online, see if we have a product that fits for you. But I just want to start off by saying I'm sorry if the audio is not very good with this video because I did just lose my microphone. So as you can see, I'm in the process of moving. I just moved into a new apartment. So in that process, I have currently lost my microphone. Hopefully I find that here soon so the videos do not stay this way. But I want to get into talking about how the sneaker events and like these, honestly they're more sneaker events, so we'll just call them that, how these sneaker events have made my brand be where it is today and have the success that it has. So there's two big sneaker events in the United States. One is going to be sneakercon, the original mainstream sneaker event that travels city to city, state to state. And then you have Got Soul, which is kind of like still new-ish. I mean, it's been going on for quite some time, but now they're really leveraging, the audience that they have in different cities and states. So they're starting to hit new cities, new states, but for the most part, they stick to their core locations, and then they just kind of do those events like twice a year. Nothing against that, they know what works. So it all started in 2020. I mean, even before then, I was going to sneaker events and selling sneakers. So I've definitely had my experience and about what to have and how to set up at a sneaker event. But before, I only knew what to do with sneakers, and I feel like those setups were a lot different than a clothing setup. Because with clothing, if you have shirts, hoodies, anything that hangs, you have to have clothing racks at that point, because you're just laying it across the table. You might get some interest, and if people know what it is, they'll pick it up. But if people have no idea what your brand is and like who you even are, then 9 times out of 10 they're not just gonna pick up something that's on a table unless it's like really catching their eye and standing out. So if you have like 1 or 2 designs, then maybe you could run with a table. That way you can lay the full product out and show people what they're gonna get before they even touch it, before they feel it, before any of that. So you come in with your own racks, of course. They provide the table, and then you just set up and you have a good setup. And if you do have a good setup, people will come to you, people will touch your stuff, feel your stuff, and buy your stuff. But a good setup alone is not going to do that. You're going to have some type of sales experience, some type of like selling mindset. You have to be in the mood to talk to these people, because at the end of the day, you have to treat these people like they're walking into your store, walking past your storefront, because honestly, that's what these sneaker events are providing for you. They're providing a storefront experience, except it's going to be 1,000 vendors in a giant convention center, and they're giving you the opportunity to sell yourself, sell your product, your brand, your messaging, all of that. Like I was saying, where I all started was back in 2020, the beginning of my clothing brand, right? So whenever I first started doing it with my clothing brand involved, I kind of went a slow transition approach. And I highly recommend this if you sell sneakers, because then you can kind of have a mix of both, and you can kind of see what's happening while still selling your sneakers and having that guaranteed profit that you already planned on going in there with. Because if I'm being honest with you, if you just go in there with your clothing brand, you have no idea what to expect. There's literally zero market in that event for your brand unless you're just huge and already have a following. And in that case, you should have a pretty good idea of how to set up and an idea of what you're going to do. Now, if you do go in there with sneakers and clothing, then set that up as you would, make your clothing brand stand out a little bit more, still try to sell your clothing for the most part, because honestly that's what you should be banking on. I mean, shoes are great, shoes are always going to be around, but if you really make a presence for your brand and make your brand stand out and give it a reason to fit in with this community, that community will continue to support and buy from you and follow your journey. Especially if they see you at multiple events, people will start to recognize who you are and see that you are serious about business and that you're not just there, testing out an event. You're there because you're actually going to build credibility. You're actually going to sell product. You actually do sell product and make connections. So once you start to make connections with those, repeat vendors, repeat buyers, whatever, then you really got your name out there. And having your name out there is huge. If you have connections that may be able to sell your product for you, maybe you build connections with store owners, you build connections with other resellers, whatever, just other people that can push your product. Nothing's free, and nobody's just going to do anything for free. So even giving them a little bit of commission or just a lower price to buy your product, that way they can resell it and make some money. Or just like, say they give it to an influencer, you give them a bonus of $50, $100, whatever it may be, whatever fits your budget for your clothing brand. It all depends on who it is and what you're getting out of it. But money talks at the end of the day. So whenever you are building those connections, make sure you're taking care of the people that take care of you. If it's not money, figure out another way to do it, and just continue to build an everlasting relationship with those people. Because if not, they'll stop messing with you. They'll stop being your business friend or whatever. But yeah, those are just my few tips of it. But I keep getting sidetracked. I'm really just trying to give you guys free knowledge on how to be the best you can possibly be at these events with your brand. But some of the things that I've experienced is going to an event underprepared, right? So there's multiple ways that you can go to an event underprepared. And honestly, the one that really sticks out for me that happened a lot was going to events alone. So whether I didn't have somebody to go with me for that event, or I was just trying to go as cheap as possible because I was young and didn't know that I needed a second person, it kind of messed me up. I'm not gonna lie to you. Because whenever I would have to go to the restroom, to go get food, to get my lunch, to just needing a break in general, because after talking to hundreds and thousands of people all day long, it gets exhausting. And honestly, a lot of the time I would fly in and out the same day to whatever event I was going to. Because not that I couldn't afford to buy a hotel, or I couldn't afford to buy food, I couldn't afford to buy the Ubers, but because I didn't want to. I wanted to keep the money in the business. That way I can continue to make new products and stay focused on what's selling, to continue selling that, to restock that product, and all the above. And I've made good money whenever I did go to these events alone. But if I had a second person, it would have helped out so much, because could have had that second person selling at the table, watching me when I have my little breaks, whatever. Also, going around the event and selling to people that aren't even at the table. There's just so many opportunities that are available at these events whenever you do have multiple people doing multiple things and making things work for that business. But I will say you can't just bring anyone, because you will bring people that are just going to want to sit there. They're just going to want to be there for the experience. They're just going to want to go shop around for themselves. They're not going to be there to build your business. And those are the people that you want to avoid bringing with you to these events. And that's another thing. I've brought people to these events that do exactly what I told you. And nothing against them, I completely understand that they weren't locked into my business. They weren't a part of my business. They came and they helped out when they could, but then they just did their own thing, which is fine, whatever. I don't care about that. What I care about is helping you make sure you do not do the same things and make the same mistakes, and bringing people like that. Because I want you to succeed with your business. I want you to succeed with your brand. I'm trying to give everyone the free knowledge that I've personally learned from doing these things. And if I can help at least one person, that's all that matters to me. You want to take what is going to actually sell. So if you know something sells out on your website, you know something sells well on your website, in your store, whatever it may be, that's the product you want to stock up on and take to your event. You want to take a good quantity of items that you can move quickly. If you're not moving them quickly, then you should probably only take maybe 3 size runs. Honestly, 3 size runs is a good number for honestly anything. And then even when you get to those scarce sizes, 2X or 3X or extra small, whatever, you might want to limit yourself on those if you're limited to room. If you have all the room in the world and only 3 products, take as much of that product as you possibly can. That way you are prepared and not underprepared. But if you have 2 core pieces, take those, take a bunch of them, and then take like a few of all your other styles and show those off too. Honestly, a good variation, good variety is going to be having like 10 different styles and then like really narrowing in on like 3 or 4 pieces out of that whole collection, because the rest of that stuff is just going to be there just in case somebody doesn't resonate with your core pieces, just in case you don't have the size in those core pieces, or just in case, you know, that price is too high for a certain item. You can sell them on a lower ticket item, or you can upsell them on a higher ticket item, lower ticket item, to bundle together. Because if you can bundle multiple styles, even if you're knocking off 10, 20 bucks, it sounds like a lot and it sucks to discount, but you're giving this person not only a good deal, you're giving them a second item of yours to remember who you are and come back to you to buy more. So they're already 2 pieces in, and that's out of however many you've dropped. So like that ratio is actually a lot higher than it sounds. So let's say if you drop 20, units, they're 2 pieces in. Like that's a good majority, if I'm being honest with you. Now, these sneaker events are full of consumers with a low price mindset. They want to come in here and get the best deal that they possibly can. If I'm being honest with you, they came in there to buy shoes. Like 90% of consumers at these sneaker events come in there to buy shoes or a certain piece of clothing that they really want, but they did not come in there to buy your brand. And that's the honestly hardest part about it. They did not come in there to buy your brand, but you have to be the one who sells them your brand. You have to be the one who stands out and makes a message about your brand. You have to be the one who shares the information, because if not, they don't know who you are, they don't care who you are, and they will never know who you are until somebody shows them who you are, or if you show them who you are. So you have to really go in there with the mindset that you're going to talk to every single person that passes by your booth. Now, you may see a 70-year-old man walk by your booth. I don't care if you say, hey, how's it going? Or good afternoon, whatever. If you get that old man to come over to your table and see your product, that's one more person that knows about it, and he might even buy a t-shirt for his grandson, because he's not just in there by himself. He's in there because he knows somebody that's in there, and that person that's in there with him might be the biggest buyer you've ever met. He might be the one person that buys one thing and never buys again. Doesn't matter. You should talk to every single person that's in that event, because that will give you the most leverage possible. And having multiple people at your table working your setup is going to be the best thing possible, because then you can pull multiple people over to your space at a single time. Another thing that you can do is have some type of like little event or interaction that the consumers can, utilize. So for example, and I'm going to get into this in a whole nother video, but for example, I had a pong table, right? So basically, I took cup pong and a ping pong ball, right? You make the cup and you get a free tote bag from NewBara. And there was absolutely no gimmicks. All you had to do was make the cup, you get a free tote bag. And that brought a lot of people and a lot of attention over to our setup, because everyone's done the basketballs, everyone's done, spin the wheel. We didn't want to be that way. So we brought an interaction into the event. Now, I'm not saying don't do those things, because those things still work. You can still do a spin the wheel. You can still do basketball, whatever. I'm going to get into this in a whole nother video, but I just wanted to put that out there. Bringing some type of interaction into your sneaker event setup is going to be key. Now, another thing is you want to make sure you're obviously wearing your items and whoever's with you is wearing those items, because if not, then they're not going to want to buy your product. If they're like, oh, you're not even wearing it, why am I going to buy it from you? You have to wear your product, okay? That's just essential. People want to see how it looks. They want to see how it fits. So wear your product, have whoever's with you wearing your product, and try to get as many people that buy your product to put it on right now. Like maybe you'll give them $5 off, put it on, okay? Then that shows other people that people buy your product and wear your product. And then when they see it on the table, it's just like, oh, that's a good brand, I gotta go buy it. You know what I mean? So definitely try to do that. Those are just some strategies that you can utilize to try to get more people to buy from you at your event. It's not easy, nor is it cheap. It's actually really expensive to go to these events. So you're gonna be spending at least $200 just to get a table for the most part. Like, let's just say average out $200. Some events might be 300, 400. You know, some events might be 100. Let's just say $200-300 plus your flight. You know, that might be another 300 plus your hotel, plus your Ubers, whatever it may be, plus your food. So just make sure you're adding in all these other expenses. So whenever you are pricing your products and pricing, you know, figuring out your budget, make sure you are taking into account all these other expenses that are going to come up with them. Now, yes, you're going to sell your product. Yes, you're going to make some type of money back, but you have to have a good product and you have to stand out. If you're just mixed in with every other brand, every other table in there, you're not going to stand out. People aren't going to come shop with you. People aren't going to know who you are. You have to stand out. You have to be important, and you have to make your product look like it's worth the value. You can't lay a $80 hoodie on a table and expect people to want to pay that when it's just laid out on a table and not giving them any type of perception. Now, I think I gave you a pretty good basis and a lot of tips to utilize at a sneaker event if you are going to be vending at one. But if you have any other questions, send me a DM on Instagram and I'll be sure to get back to you. Or if you have any other questions at all, drop them below. If you could, just take a second, click the like button and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.